January 1889, Vienna Woods, Lower Austria. The valet, Johann Loschek, has heard voices all night, quiet, serious, unceasing. Shortly before 7 in the morning, the door opens. Rudolf steps out, fully dressed. He tells Loschek to have the horses prepared. Shortly after, 2 shots are fired. He runs back. The smell of gunpowder hangs in the air. The door is locked. He breaks open a panel, opens it from the inside. What Loschek finds in that room will shake Austria-Hungary and change the place forever. The place is called Mayerling, a hunting lodge in the Vienna Woods, 26 kilometers southwest of Vienna. Not a representative building, not a place for state visits, not a family residence of the Habsburgs. Rudolf had bought it himself in 1886 from a Count of Leiningen-Westerburg Altleiningen. His wife was an actress rumored to have been close to the Crown Prince. With the purchase, a problem was quietly resolved. She left with her husband. Rudolf immediately had the lodge rebuilt, furnished, and restored. He valued it as a retreat, remote, quiet, far from the court, far from his father. The man in the room is Crown Prince of Austria-Hungary, 30 years old, the only son of Emperor Franz Joseph and Empress Elizabeth, heir to an empire already beginning to fracture. His marriage to Princess Stephanie is broken, a marriage of convenience, not of love. He had asked the Pope for permission to divorce. The Pope refused it and informed the Emperor directly. Franz Joseph was furious. A few days before Mayerling, he orders his son, "The liaison with Mary Vetsera must end." Mary Vetsera is 17 years old, the daughter of a diplomat, long dark hair, large blue eyes. She had seen Rudolf a year earlier at a horse race in the Freudenau, in the imperial box. She wrote him an ardent letter. Countess Marie Larisch, cousin of the Crown Prince, niece of the Empress, arranged the secret meetings. Loschek brought Mary through hidden passages of the Hofburg to Rudolf. For 3 months, around 20 meetings. Rudolf was under pressure, not only politically. He drank, he took morphine. Those around him described him as restless, exhausted, without a way out. He had written farewell letters, not only to Mary, also to his mother, Elizabeth, to his sister, Marie Valerie. He had already made his decision. Mary followed him. Mary was not a coincidence. She had sought him out deliberately. For her, Rudolf was not just a man. He was the opposite of everything her life had been until then. For him, she was perhaps the only thing that still felt real. On the night of January 29th to 30th, she writes farewell letters. To her sister, "Bratfish yodeled so beautifully." To her mother, "I could not resist love." Outside, Rudolf's coachman Bratfish sings Viennese songs in the cold. Inside, Rudolf and Mary speak through the night. What Loschek finds in the room is clear. What exactly happened that night will never be fully known. Rudolf lies at the edge of the bed, slumped forward. On the bedside table, a glass, a mirror. On the bed lies Mary Vetsera, motionless. Loschek finds a note. "Dear Loschek, fetch a priest and have us buried together in Heiligenkreuz." This wish will not be fulfilled. Loschek informs Count Hoyos, the Crown Prince's hunting companion. Hoyos immediately drives to Vienna. The Emperor learns the truth only that evening. At noon, the Prime Minister releases the first official statement, heart aneurysm. It does not hold. The story spreads. Rudolf had chosen his own death. As such, he would not have been granted a church burial. An imperial physician issues a report, mental incapacity. A convenient diagnosis? Everyone knows it. The Emperor permitted no investigation, no independent commission, no public inquiry. What happened at Mayerling remained a family matter, and the family stayed silent. Witnesses were not questioned, they were managed. Those who knew too much disappeared from the court's field of view. But it allows Rudolf to be buried in the imperial crypt. Mary Vetsera must disappear. Her uncle Alexander von Baltazzi is called. He dresses her, places a stick into her dress so the body will not collapse. sets her upright in a carriage, drives her secretly to Heiligenkreuz 36 hours after her death. On February 1st, she is buried in the so-called corner for suicides of the cemetery. Her mother is not present. She is not allowed to visit the grave for 2 months. Mary Vetsera was 17 years old. That same year, Franz Joseph orders the transformation. He wants 2 things at once: to erase the place and to redeem his son. The hunting lodge is not to exist any longer. The room in which it happened is removed. Walls are shifted, structures rearranged. In 1890, a Carmelite convent opens in its place. The nuns pray for Rudolf to this day. Former living quarters become cells. Corridors become silent passageways. And where the bedroom once stood, where Loschek broke open the door, where the smell of gunpowder met him, the altar of the convent chapel stands today. Mary Vetsera's name was officially never mentioned in Austria. In connection with the Crown Prince's death until the end of the monarchy in 1918, the court imposed silence and the enforced secrecy of witnesses continue to fuel speculation to this day. The room no longer exists. The place remains. And yet, more than 100,000 people come to Mayerling every year. They come to a convent of a silent order. They cannot enter the room. They cannot see anything that remains from that morning. They come anyway. Rudolf left behind no political agenda, no reform plans that anyone carried forward, no writings that preserved his thinking. What he left behind was a void, and into that void stepped Franz Ferdinand, a man Rudolf barely knew, who had different ideas, a different character, different enemies. That this man was shot in Sarajevo in 1914 has nothing to do with Mayerling, and yet the chain begins there. Rudolf had no son, no successor. His death changed the line of succession of the entire empire. Franz Ferdinand followed Rudolf's cousin, son of Franz Joseph's brother, Karl Ludwig. He was assassinated in Sarajevo in 1914. What followed was the First World War. The monarchy collapsed 4 years later. Franz Joseph lived to see the end of his empire. He died in 1916. He had outlived his son by 27 years. Immediately after the event, Elizabeth banished Countess Larisch from court. She never spoke to her again. Larisch lived in poverty and wrote books to survive. She died in 1940 in a retirement home in Augsburg. Bratfisch died in 1892, 3 years after Mayerling. Loschek remained silent for the rest of his life. Countess Larisch, Bratfisch, Loschek, Mizzi Kaspar. All knew something. None spoke completely. Franz Joseph wanted Mayerling to cease being what it had been. He had the walls moved. He had prayers said where shots had been fired. He had nuns keep silence where 2 people had spent their final night. The place has changed, but it has not disappeared. Perhaps because some things do not vanish when they are rebuilt, but remain.